And last time you saw us, the world was nuts, but it's a little more crazy now as apparently we're in a war. The United States is in a war. At least that's what people are saying. Phoenix, are we in a war right now?
Well, God, I really wish I was up to date on all the news right now. One could argue that we are, and my very, very limited amount of knowledge on what's been going on.
I don't know. Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like, if you're coming to us for hot geopolitical news, we're probably not the right source for that, right? I do not know the inner workings of the Iranian-Israeli United States relationship outside of knowing that Iran does not like America and that we were all infidels. And most of that came from watching Back to the Future 2 when Marty McFly entered the 80s cafe and the Ayatollah was talking about death to America, right? That's pretty much my my geopolitical.
There it is. That's
pretty much where it stops and starts right there. But I know there was a big bombing that happened this past week, and you know everything's going on.
We got
Iran
a lot
right
of the
now.
top officials, I believe. Again, don't quote me right now. I need to catch up. Middle of the week, I'll have information.
Thank you. We'll wait till Wednesday to talk truly
Yeah.
about what happened on Saturday, which will be good. But Mal, you said that the United States has killed the top two people, the top two like leaders in Iran. Is that right?
So actually, war geopolitics is also not my specialty
Okay.
exactly, but I have been kind of paying attention to, on this stuff. So
I like
we
that
did kill.
that our politics just went from Back to the Future to a cartoon.
Yeah. It's important, yeah.
But yeah, we did kill the Ayatollah, and then another one was installed, and apparently he died like 10 minutes later. Like not even joking. Like within a few hours of them picking a new leader, he was dead. Um,
It's a pretty small window of leadership right there.
yeah.
That's right.
And so we have hit a good chunk of them, as far as I'm aware. The biggest concern at the moment is that Iran was going kind of willy nilly, and they started attacking everybody in the area, going after United States bases within that, like including like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and a few other places too. And so they kind of pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah.
They've attacked directly or indirectly 15 countries or their military. Obviously, the U.S. and Israel, but the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, Iraq, Bahrain, Oman, Syria, Cyprus, France, their base, Italy, and their base, and the United Kingdom with their base as well. So they're definitely not making any friends.
Well, I don't think they had many friends to begin with, but this past week has been crazy, right? Let's just go back to the start of the week, right, where the United States hockey team beat Canada, and everyone's like, "Fucking A, America, let's go, gold hockey, gold medal hockey," except for everybody in America who hates America, right? And they were like, "Oh, Canada should have won, man," and they were like upset that the United States won in hockey of all things, right? Then we saw the State of the Union address where Trump stood up and he's like, "Hey, if you agree with this statement, you know, stand up." And it was pretty much the statement TLDR was like, Americans are the top priority for the American government, and no Democrats stood up, and that looked like kind of crazy. And to see people kind of defending that idea was silly. And now we have this kind of idea of Iran, which has said death to America. But this is pointed out here, and this ties into what we were going to talk about with Angry Joe. It says, over the last week, liberals have taken the side of Canada over the U.S. in the hockey, Olympic hockey, taking the side of illegal aliens over American citizens, and taking the side of death to America, Iranian regime, over the United States. Remember this in November, obviously, here. This right here, it's popped off, 64,000 likes on it. Over
From Sean Farash, yeah.
Yeah. Now, bringing it back to Angry Joe. So, I wanted to talk about this because this is like really interesting to me to kind of see what the other perspective is on this. Because Angry Joe, we like I said, I have no issue with Joe. We've always been cordial. I haven't talked to him in over a decade, but he very much does not like the president. He very much will talk about it publicly. And that's fine, whatever, he's free to do that. But to see this perspective is interesting to hear his thoughts on. He quote tweeted this. He says, this is the only way these people function, living in their own warped reality, lying and villainizing anyone who doesn't step in line with the Trump regime. You actually mean, and this is in response to, taking the side of Canada over the United States in Olympic hockey. You actually mean taking the side of free speech when your government fucks up. I'm guessing that, I don't know what that has to do with Canada.
I guess to say that we're criticizing, the Olympians that have been speaking out, that have not liked the country. Like, I'm not really proud of the country at this moment. Perhaps that's what he means.
But that's so rich because in Canada, they had the whole trucker protest issues a few years ago with COVID. Like, you really want to talk about free speech, Canada is not the country.
No, Canada is not exactly seen as a beacon of free speech. As somebody who spent a week with a couple Canadians, that it is in dire straits up there. And those who are not brainwashed look at it and don't have a whole lot of desire to be there, to say the least. We'll continue. This is once again, in response to this post, says, taking the side of illegal aliens over American citizens, to which he responded, taking the side of human rights when Trump's poorly trained and undisciplined federal agents kill citizens in the streets and break into homes without needing warrants any longer here. So you can see kind of the angle that he's taken here with this. The idea of, it always goes back to human rights here. Now, disregard the idea that, they're in the country illegally to begin with,
Yeah, they're harming the rights of actual American citizens by coming here illegally. And they're all part of, like, drugs, sex trafficking rings, murders, rapes, they've different things like that. And even if they don't do the most heinous crimes, they're still already breaking the law and working on table jobs, decreasing wages. Like, those are the real human rights violations against actual American citizens.
I'm sure if someone broke into his home, which would be, that's bad, but I'm sure if someone broke into his home, I guess he'd be just cool with that. And it's cool. You can live there. That's totally fine. I'm also curious about, you also mentioned like the undisciplined Asians and stuff like that. Like, well, like Obama had like killed American citizens he was bomb crazy there for a while. I didn't hear him complaining around that time. And it's just interesting where we're selectively deciding where we're going to poke our little nose into politics is interesting.
All has to coincide with Orange Man Bad. It's all what it comes down to. Here's the final point. Taking the side to the death to America Iranian regime over the United States, to which he says, taking the side of not going to needless illegal wars. I love the idea of an illegal war, right? The idea that there are rules to warfare. Okay, sure there. Yeah. Okay, but just totally disregarding the idea that this country has literally declared war on the United States since before any of us were born. Let's just keep that in perspective. At least for me, I was not born in 1978 or whenever it was they declared war against the United States. They've had an ongoing war against us since then. So,
and I am not a fan of wars. I liked that Trump said no new wars and stuff like that. He's obviously kind of went back on that a little bit, but he's been doing actually a pretty good job. Him and his staff been doing a great job at that. So I'm not thrilled with that, but to say that this was like out of just nowhere and what are you talking about? No, like one of the things that went into this was that we had said like, okay, stop building them nukes. And then they didn't. And so then we went in there, we blasted those. And then we said, okay, now no more, don't do those nukes again. And then according to Trump's people, they went back at it again. So if that's all true, that is one very good reason why you'd want to stop that, because Iran will use those. Like that's not a place that you want to have those. So it's a good argument to say we should probably go in there and stop that.
I mean, to be fair, there is a middle ground between the sides here. Like, you don't have to support the Iranian regime, but also not be exactly a fan of us possibly getting into a war, because this is not like a Venezuela situation where we just went in, kidnapped a president, and then it's more or less over when it comes to the actual fighting thing. This is going on for days now. And last I heard, Trump expects this to take about 4 to 5 weeks. So this is definitely like something a bit more. I don't want to say serious, but it's a bit more grave in this case. So I also understand people's hesitancy too, because the whole "oh, they have nuclear weapons" shtick is been going on for 30 years now. They've been
Yep.
saying they are really close to that, and nobody believes that anymore. Like, so there's definitely a valid case to be very wary of, for why we're getting involved and doing this now of all times. And but you also don't have to support the Iranian regime once again. Like there's a difference. Um
You know what I always look at when it comes to this stuff? It's how do people react to it that live there, right? And in Venezuela, people were like, "Yeah," in Iran, people were like, "Fuck yeah." So like, I usually look at that as the litmus test. Like I said, I don't live there. I don't know. I don't know the, all the oppressive stuff that's happening there. And so I think that's probably a good idea to look at. You go to the source, if you will. And when people actually have the opportunity to say what they want or rejoice in the streets, you see all these Iranian, Americans or Iranians who live in America that are literally going out and celebrating in the streets because of this. You saw the exact same thing with Venezuela, and I go, oh, okay, well they seem to have a pretty good idea of what it was like, when they came over legally. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. Now, Joe does continue, says, but fuck those people, right? They should shut up. Y'all are so fucking stupid it hurts. I'm assuming you cheer on any illegal action that would curb your own freedoms at this point if you think it might hurt, quote unquote, the libs.
This man lives in some weird delusional. He is much like everyone on that side. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. If he actually stepped out of his bubble for a second, he'd actually know that a lot of Trump people are not happy with Trump's going to war and bombing places. Not been a big fan of that, especially like the libertarians who kind of jumped on the Trump train. They're not thrilled. So again, it's not like he just puts everyone in this same bubble, proving he's in a bubble like all of them.
mhm.
Well, Tanarian came in and says there's actually rules to war. That's why there's such things as war crimes. Anyways, now there's only one Ayatollah left. The Ayatollah of rock and rolla, Chris Jericho. Thank you very much, Tanarian. and to be clear, listen, I understand that there are rules to war. I get it. With that said, do you really think they're followed? Let's be real. Like, yeah, there's rules, but I'm pretty sure they get bend pretty good. I
I
do
mean,
think.
it's only a Western thing that we actually have war crimes and with NATO and everything else like that. Like it's a very much a Western thing. The rest of the world does not care at all. There's a reason why we had so many problems in the Middle East with all the other wars beforehand, and they will use women and children as sacrifices. They will play dirty and use our morals against us to win because they don't follow the same rule set that we do. And it's highly unfortunate. It would be nice if they did because I think that's terrible, but they don't, and it's highly unfortunate. I want to point out too that technically, the last legal war that we had was World War II. That was literally the last legal war that we had because it's all based off congressional approval, and Congress never actually signed off on all the other wars afterwards.